this computer. Okay, so welcome everybody to our session on Try for the Environment. We'd love it if you can all introduce yourselves, just writing your name and your pronouns in the chat box, the school that you go to and grade, because it just helps us to know who's with us today. Just want to go over some of our Zoom protocols for virtual gatherings. We ask that you stay muted unless you have a question. It just helps with background noise. You can share any thoughts or questions you have in the chat box, or just raise your hand, unmute yourself to ask your question. We ask that you just be courteous and respectful and try not to create any distractions. Stay engaged, participate fully, and then if you have not already renamed yourself, you can do that so we know exactly who we're talking to, okay? So let's just jump into the Try for the Environment program. Just want to introduce myself. I'm Lauren Traister. I am the Teen and Leadership Program Coordinator with UVM Extension in the 4-H program. And with me today, I have two teen teachers that have taught within the Try program. We have Sylvia Burkman, who is a sophomore from South Burlington High School, and Indira, who is a 7th grader from Camels Hump Middle School. So first off, I want to ask you if you've ever heard of the Try program. And you can just write in the chat box, yes or no. I'm going to ask Sylvia or Indira if you can monitor the chat, because I can't see it when I'm in my screen share. So those of you with us today, have you ever heard of this program? And Indira or Sylvia, you can just unmute yourself, let me know what's coming up in the chat box.
Nobody has heard of it.
Okay, so here's a question. This program has been run for the past 7 years. How many teens do you think we have trained to be teen teachers in this program? What's your guess? You can type in the chat box or just unmute yourself, make a guess. Any guesses out there? I'll give it a minute. It might surprise you. Any answers? Sylvia or Indira, anything coming in on the chat?
200.
200 guess. That's a good guess, but you are incorrect. So we have trained in the last 7 years 518 teens to teach this program. So it's pretty broad. It's all over the state. How many K through 4 students do you think we've actually been able to reach in 7 years? So thinking we've had 518 teen teachers, what would be your guess of how many students we've reached? And just make a guess. And then Sylvia or Indira, let me know what's coming in on the chat. Any guesses?
60.
60. So you will be quite surprised in 7 years, and this year has been cut short. We got very close, and this year we would have surpassed 5,000, but as of today, the count is 4,986. So using teens to teach this program has allowed us not only to do environmental programming all over the state of Vermont, but we've been really impactful by reaching almost 5,000 K through 4 students. So it's a pretty cool thing to know that teens have this powerful reach into the classroom. So I just want to back up a little bit and let you know a little bit about the Try program. So it's an environmental education, it's really an environmental leadership program for teens that are in grades 7 through 12. And it's an environmental education program that teens teach to younger youth to increase environmental literacy and responsibility. So we use our teen teachers to be able to teach these lessons to younger youth. We have 5 program areas that we teach in. So each one of these is a separate 6-lesson program. We have energy fundamentals, waste solutions, food systems, forest and trees, and then one on water. And so this is a very intentional strategy that we use to increase environmental literacy, because we know that using teens as teachers is a really cool and novel way to engage the younger students and get them really interested in the content that's being taught. And what it does, it not only gets the younger students this really critical education, it empowers the teens to take on this leadership role. So really, as a whole, what we're trying to do is create a more informed and engaged citizenry. So we're saying that all Vermonters are Vermont citizens, from the youngest to the oldest, and everybody needs to have this information to be able to make good decisions, right? So when we use teen teachers, it increases student learning, and it also encourages that leadership development. So really why I'm interested in this program, I'm a youth leadership specialist with the University of Vermont Extension Service. And so what I try to do is focus on developing leadership skills. But my background is I actually have an undergraduate degree in environmental studies and political science. I also have a master's degree in natural resource planning. And so my background and interest really is in environmental policy, environmental education, environmental decision-making, all of that stuff. But I really want to be able to develop the tools and the skills in our young people to take on this work. So I really wanted to create some meaningful leadership experiences for teens. And for me, this was a really great way to say, we need to have this environmental education. We need to have an environmentally literate society. Let's use teens to do this environmental education work. So it's a really great way to push out this education that needs to happen while simultaneously developing skills in teens to take on these very important leadership roles. So the cool thing is, in each one of the program areas, we have a partner organization that we work with. And what it does is it amplifies the outreach that needs to be done anyway by extension and by the partner organizations. So we're engaging teens in real work that has to happen, and we use teens to reach audiences that extension, 4-H, and our partner organizations, we're all small staff, we can't reach those audiences. So we're looking to the teens to go in and do the work and help us build out on the work that we're already doing. So as I mentioned, we have these 5 program areas. The dates, the year next to each one of the programs is the date that it was started. We started with energy fundamentals, and then every year we built a new program so that teens that are interested in teaching in the TRI program have a choice of which topic they want to teach on. Because you might be interested in environmental issues, but maybe you're more interested in water issues. So that's where you want to focus your time and energy. But somebody else might be more interested in our waste solution problems. So we give that choice, and each one of those programs, as I said, has a 6-lesson curriculum that we train and teens to go teach. So let's just jump in a little bit, and I'll run quickly through each one of these programs. So I'm going to let you know Indira and Sylvia are actually going to showcase an activity from the program area that each one of them taught in. So the Energy Fundamentals program, we partner with the Vermont Energy Education Program. And in the 6 lessons that we offer for this program, we highlight 3 lessons focus on wind and 3 lessons focus on sun and energy. And we're really sort of starting at the very basics because we work with kids in grades K through 3. It's all based on science standards and the building blocks to eventually understand renewable energy. But at K through 3, you have to focus on, wind and sun. And it's a really cool program. There's a lot of engineering activities. In the photo here, the kids have to design a sailboat and think about how a sail catches the wind, and they race on these tracks using a fan to produce wind. In the Climate Change Through Waste Solutions program, which Indira has been a teacher in, we focus with a local regional solid waste management district, the Lamoille Regional Solid Waste Management District, and we really focus on the 4 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot, which is compost. And really the idea behind teaching about waste solution is that Vermont has a universal recycling law, and recycling is now mandated as compost is going to be required by law, I believe, this summer, although it may have just recently been pushed back. And we focus on grades 1 through 3 in this, and the kids really learn about decision making and understanding renewable versus non-renewable resources and where your waste should go. And so it's just developing, again, those building blocks to make some really good decisions. In the food systems program, we partner with the Youth Agricultural Project, which is a program within UVM Extension. And within this program, we really get our students to understand that if you want to be able to eat and have food as in your grocery store, then you need to protect the environment. And so the lessons really explore the need to protect our soil, because topsoil is so critical to growing food, and seeds and pollinators. And even there's a lesson on understanding climate and how climate affects, how we can continue to grow food and things like that. And so it's getting that point across that if you want to protect our food source and our food supply, then we need to protect our environment. And this is for grades grades 2 through 4. Then we have the Forest and Trees program, where we partner with the Department of Forest, Parks, and Rec, as well as the Vermont Urban and Community Forestry program. And in this program, we really investigate the basic concepts of forest and forest stewardship. And so in this photo, what we've been able to do, because we don't know where the lessons are going to be taught, so we don't know what trees are going to be near a school. And if we want to be able to teach about tree identification, what we've done is we've created laminated sheets that have different leaves. And so in this lesson, the students are learning about different leaf types, as well as the beginning phases of how to do tree identification. But it's all done inside, because we want to give the teen teachers the ability to be successful. And if we say, oh, just go take the kids on a hike on the school grounds, we don't pretend to think that they're going to be experts in tree identification themselves. So everything we build is very structured so that the teen teachers can be trained and trained well to teach the 6 lessons and be very knowledgeable about the 6 lessons that they have to teach. The final program is 4H2O, where we partner with the Lake Champlain Sea Grant. And in this, we really focus on water cycle, watersheds, water quality, and the aquatic life in our rivers and streams and lakes. So this one is a little bit more advanced. So it's only for grades 3 and 4. And again, because we're focusing on science standards, we have to make sure that the lessons are geared towards the age that they're being developed for. And so all the lessons are meant to be hands-on, and so they all have been designed for different activities. Like this one that we're highlighting, there's a game that the students play to begin learning about water and watersheds. So they're all really fun hands-on activities. Now, as I mentioned, we have reached a lot of students in this program. We've been running it for 7 years. This would have been our 7th year. Unfortunately, most of the teams, were probably just about to finish their first group. In the program, you have to teach your 6 lessons twice to 2 different groups of students. And that's part of the leadership development part of the program, so that you teach a program once or a lesson once, and then you can reflect on, what could I do to make it better next time? How can I improve? And so you go and teach it again to have that opportunity. So as I mentioned, you know, we've reached a lot of students over those 7 years. This program has actually received the Governor's Award for Environmental Excellence 3 different years. So it's a very well-known, well-respected program. And it's a really great way for teens to, as I said already, to develop their leadership skills, to be, you know, impactful in their own communities. So the way this is done, there's an application process, and you have to apply as a team of 2 to 4 teens and with an adult mentor. And you come to a full day training just for your program area. And we run you through all 6 lessons to train you how to teach the lessons. And at the end of the day, you leave with a teaching kit that gives you all the materials that you would need to teach those lessons. But then you go and set up your own teaching because you're busy, everyone's schedules. So you find your classrooms to go teach in. But then we come and observe you teach. So we give you feedback and we support you along the way. And just like teachers, there's some reporting that you need to do to help us capture what the students learn, who you taught, things like that. And then the most important piece, I think, is doing the reflection. In 4-H, we focus on life skills in our program, and this is our life skill wheel. And teen teachers have to do a reflection at the end of their program, reflecting on, you know, what were the 3 life skills that they felt that the program helped them improve. And so they write a written reflection to think through, you know, where they started, where they ended, what they gained in this life skill development, which is really great because now in Vermont schools with proficiency-based learning, there's all the transferable skills are life skills. It's just a different way of saying the same thing. And so the TRI program has actually helped a lot of students meet some of those proficiency goals that you need to put in your personalized learning plans and things like that. So that was a very fast and furious description of a big program, but I really want to turn it over to Sylvia and Indira now. But before we do that, I just want to ask if there's any questions you have just about the logistics of the program before we continue. And you can unmute yourself to ask the question if you'd like. If not, we'll just keep moving on. Okay, Daniel, I'll unmute you. There you go. Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, it wouldn't let me unmute myself. So I was wondering how you get the word out about this program to specifically like the high school or middle school teams that are interested.
Yeah, so it's not a perfect science. Over the years, I've been collecting a lot of teacher emails. So and we have some schools that do this program every year now. So it's kind of just, in some schools, it's become a very like, I can't wait to do it. And then other schools, they've never heard of it. So I try to get the word out through email. We do press releases. We also, in Vermont, the Agency of Education puts out a weekly field blog that you can put a notice in. And so a lot of teachers and principals will subscribe to that. And then also one of the other programs that I run is called the Youth Environmental Summit. And we get probably, last year we had almost 400 students with teachers that registered for that. And so the applications are usually due a week after the Youth Environmental Summit. So that's our big final push, is at the Youth Environmental Summit. And so hopefully by coming to the Youth Environmental Summit, you have that audience already that's looking to do something. And so that's another way we get the word out. Thank you for that question. So Sylvia, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to unmute yourself.
All right, so hi everyone, I'm Sylvia. I go to South Burlington High School, and I did the 4H2O strand, the water strand. So I got this binder, which is all the lessons I need to, my team and I needed to teach the program. So I'm going to be running through an activity for lesson 3, which focuses on water use and conservation and how we as a society, we use, or we go through a lot of water practices that are unsustainable and aren't really necessarily essential. So at the beginning of each lesson, we have some guiding questions. For lesson 3, some of the guiding questions were, what is our impact as humans on water quantity? What activities use water? And how much water do we use on average every day? So we would introduce the kids to these questions so they have it in mind as we go through all the activities. So the activity I'm going to be presenting focuses on how much water we use. So right now, if you could take the time to find like an index card or a piece of paper and a pen.
Oh, no, make it. There we go.
So once you have that, like the slideshow says, you're going to write the name of a water activity at the top of the card. It could be like showering or watering the lawn, and then draw like a quick sketch of what that looks like. And then you're going to guess how much water that uses. When I was at the training, I did watering the lawn, and so I had the little sketch, and then I had how much water I guessed it would have. So just take a couple minutes to quickly sketch out a little illustration of a water activity. So let's start to wrap it up. As you're done, maybe like send something in the chat.
I'd say if each person wants to do what you did, like hold it up too, they could show it, unmute themselves, say what they did. There you go. Oh. There you go, Daniel. You're unmuted
Okay.
now.
Yeah. There you go. All right. So I have running the dishwasher, and I said that would probably take about 50 gallons of water as an estimate.
Ella, do you want to share?
I'm really bad at drawing.
Me too.
I did this on a whiteboard. I don't know if you can see it, but it's washing the car, and I guessed 20 gallons of water to wash a car. It depends on how big it is, I guess.
Thanks. Indira, did you do one?
I did one. Taking a shower, I did, and I said 22 gallons.
I'm sorry. Did you want me to go ahead yet, Sylvia?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So this is the graphic that we show once the kids are all done drawing their sketches. So for each drop of water you see there on the screen, that's 1 gallon of water. So it kind of surprises me, like for taking a shower, that's much less water than actually eating a beef dinner would be. Because buffalo are really huge animals. The water they use is probably the biggest on the board. So we would show that to the kids, and then maybe we would talk about how we can cut down on water consumption, like maybe taking a shorter shower, timing the shower, turning off the faucet when you brush your teeth. So, and the cool thing about this lesson is the kids actually can take home what they've learned and actually start to apply that. So yeah.
Right. So Sylvia, at the end of this lesson, remind me, they actually get like homework where they have to kind of keep a water diary for a week or something?
Yeah. And they just record what big water activities they've done, and how much water they think they've saved. So one of my biggest takeaways from the Tri program as a whole is kind of the range of leadership you get to experience, because you also lead your peers, often who might be the same age as you, but you also get to experience some leadership opportunity with the young kids too. So it's really interesting how you have to adapt your leadership style to address different types of groups. And that's one big thing that I kind of took away from all of this.
Nice. Thank you. So this was just one part of one lesson in the water, but you can see, like, as Sylvia showed, there's that hands-on piece, getting them to think and connecting it to then action that they can begin to start taking at home. So we'll move on to Indira, who's gonna showcase just a part of a lesson in the waste, climate change for waste solutions program. Let's see, let's get you unmuted. There you go.
Okay. So this is from the first lesson, and sorry I'm moving around so much. I'm trying to keep my stuff organized. But so it's in the first lesson, and we're trying to learn why it's important to reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost. And we do this activity, which is basically a board, and all the kids get like a template. So it's a board with 4 categories: reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost. And then we have them cut out these little like pieces of paper with items on it, and then they decide, when I'm done with this item, where would I put it. So we can give that a try. I'm just gonna tell you an item, and then you could, I guess, unmute yourself or put it in the chat box where you think it would go. So reduce, reuse, recycle, or compost.
I'm just gonna unmute everybody so you guys can, or try to unmute yourselves. I think there you go. Okay.
So if you were done with a newspaper, where would you put it?
Did you say paper?
Yeah, newspaper.
Okay. Recycle.
Yes, or we put it, you could put it in recycle, but you could also put it in reduce, because you could read your news online and not even get the paper at all. And so then next, what about old toys? When you're done with your toys, what would you do with them? Not necessarily if they're broken, but if you're just done playing with them.
Reuse.
Yeah, so we said reuse, and you could give them to somebody else or find another way to use them. So what about a milk jug?
Recycle.
Yeah, recycle. And then I'll do like 2 more. Apple cores.
Compost.
Yeah. Compost. And then let's do plastic bottles.
Reuse.
Reuse. Did you say?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the ones the kids get confused with a lot, because you could do a lot of things with it, and so we let them put it in whatever one that they would do. But I have mine in reduce, because you could just use a reusable water bottle. So I'm not going to do all of them, but it ends up looking like this. And then we have the kids tape them, and some of them, they're just distinct places where you would put it, like a pretty much compost, and some you let the kids choose. And then when the kids are done with it, sort of like the water lesson, the idea that this is to take it home to teach their families and like put it on their fridge so that they can make better choices with their waste. And so that's what we do with that. And are we doing the movement activity?
Yeah, do you want to tell them about this part?
Yes, I'll try my best to do this one if I can remember it. So this one is a movement activity that we do with the kids when they are getting antsy or they just need to move. And we always do it in the first lesson. But if they ever need it, like, because they're just needing them to move, because we use first graders and they definitely
Because they're
need it.
little and they have squiggly bodies.
Yeah. And so we did this one quite a lot, and we hold up posters, which are the little pictures you see on the screen, and we do like a sort of a chant and some movement activities. And so you can give that a try if you have space to move, and I'll try to remember it.
And I'm going to give Indira props. Her team, she had 3 other teen teachers as part of her team, because your team can be 2 to 4 teens that teach together. And they probably do this movement activity the best, just because the more you get into it, the more excited the kids get into it. And so it becomes this great movement activity, but it's a learning activity too, because this is all about like what happens after you put something in the recycling bin.
Yeah. So I'm going to try my best to remember it, and if you have space to move, you can try it.
If you guys want to get up, if you're sick of sitting,
Okay.
I'll get up with you too.
First, you're going to hop in your recycling truck. And you're going to drive to your house. And stop. Hop out of your truck. Grab your bin. And throw it in the truck. Hop back in your truck. And you're going to keep driving. Now stop. Hop out of your truck. Pick up the bin. And throw it in the back of the truck. And hop back in. And then you're going to drive. And then you stop to the last house. You're going to hop out of your truck. Pick up the bin. Throw it in the back of the truck. Hop back in your truck. And you're going to drive to the recycling facility. Stop. Think you're hopping out of your truck. And you dump all your trash out, or your recycling out. And then you're going to get in the loader and you pick it up, you scoop, and you dump it onto a big conveyor belt, or we'll sort it. And then we sort it. So we have plastic in this bin, paper in this bin, metal in this bin. We got to go really quickly. And then we stop. Everything is sorted. We have paper over here, and metal over here, and plastic over here, and glass over here. So that is the activity.
Good job. That was awesome that you remembered that from memory. There's a few more steps, but as you guys can see, like, you're learning how the recycling goes from your bin to a recycling facility, but it's such a great way when you're working with young students, give them that opportunity to just, shake it out, move around. So all of the lessons that Indira and Sylvia and all the other teens teach really go from like, there's a book that you read, to a movement activity, to a game, to a drawing activity. Like, we try to make it very easy for things that teen teachers can teach, so that everything is laid out in that binder that Sylvia showed, where each lesson is step by step, and we even give you some like prompts. Like, this language on this slide is straight out of the binder. It's like, ask your class. So we'll tell you what to ask, but then you can just put it in your own words too. So everything's designed for full success from the teens, right? So Indira or Sylvia, do you have any final thoughts you want to say about TRI, or anybody have some final questions you want to ask about the program?
I would say that if you're kind of on the edge about doing this program next year, definitely really consider it, because I thought it was a really valuable experience. It definitely helped to shape my leadership style. And I also got to hang out with some people from my team that I wouldn't have necessarily hung out with otherwise. So that was really cool too.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Like, me and my group weren't we were in the same class, but we didn't know each other, and then we were very well. And then we did the program and we got really close and we had a lot of fun. And being with the kids is a lot of fun because they just say weird things and it's kind of fun to just like teach them. When we were doing our reuse lesson, they tried to tell us how to make leprechaun traps, so that was an interesting time.
I will say in all the years that we've done this with all the teen teachers that have come through this program, I don't think I've ever heard one say anything bad about working with the young students. It was all about like, that was awesome to be able to go into the younger classroom, how much they loved having the young students just look up to you. Many Tri teams have told me that their students cried on the last day of teaching because they just didn't want their teen teachers to leave. So it's a really powerful experience. And again, you know, the young students get so much out of it. You as a teen teacher get so much out of it. And then the classroom teachers also really appreciate that modeling of leadership that teens do to their students. In addition, they also really enjoy the content that comes with the Tri program. So I want to thank you all for coming today. And again, if you have any questions about the program, you can just reach out to me in my email, and I'll put that again in the chat. I do see Greg. I did not realize we had someone else with us. You're asking if you can get the materials. Reach out to me and we can chat. We don't really just give the materials out. We keep it in-house as the program, but maybe if you're with a school, we can get some teens in your school in part of the program. So with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and everybody just be well, and hopefully we'll see some of you next year. Thank you all. And thank you, Sylvia and Indira, for doing such a great job today.